Lost in the Snow, and we read only two paragraphs. Today we are going to complete that chapter. All of you, please open your books, Oxford Progressive English. Unit 5, Lesson 2, Lost in the Snow. Page 180. We have read page 180. We were on page 190. This story is based on a true incident which happened on Orient Express. The name of the train is Orient Express, and it was going from Paris to Constantinople. Okay, so and a heavy snow was falling. It was January 1929. Okay, students. So I'm going to read first 3, 4, and 5 paragraphs, and I will ask you people to read it. Okay, page 190, paragraph number 3. Okay. So in paragraph 1, they have explained that the train was going from Paris to Constantinople, and a heavy snow was falling on that day, and many passengers alighted the train at Budapest, but at Vienna, but despite of the suspicions that there was the railway track to be blocked in Romania, but the train was given clearance to continue its journey. The firemen were doing a heavy job in breaking the frozen coal. Okay, because in those days the train worked with coal. Okay, there was coal and the train runs because of coal. So they were doing every possible effort to break the frozen coal into the tender, and they were also trying to thaw the water system. I've told you water system is the water tanker which was used to keep the water, because obviously in the train passengers and everybody else needs water. Okay, so I'm going to start paragraph number 3 and I'm going to explain it. Okay. At the last stop before the Turkish border, as I've told you that the train was going from Paris to Constantinople. Constantinople is the old name of Istanbul, a city of Turkey. So it was going to Turkey. At the last stop before the Turkish border, the chef the train. I've told you also that few French words are used in the story. Chef the train is the word which is used for the manager. For the manager whose job is to look after the passengers. The chef the train was warned that the track in Turkey had not been cleared. But again, obeying instructions from Paris, he ordered that the journey should continue. So what happened? Last stop before they reached their journey destination, the Turkish border, the chef the train was informed that the line was blocked, that the railway track was blocked in Turkey, but it but he couldn't do anything because he had received instructions to continue the journey. So he ordered that the journey should continue. Sides of the train were now concealed. After concealed means hidden. In the picture, you can see that the sides of the train are all covered with a heavy snow, and the train was not moving, it was crawling. It was crawling, deadly snow. Under a white blanket of snow reaching to the carriage roofs. These are the roofs of the carriage, okay? The roof of the carriage. And the crew struggled to maintain heating inside the carriages. And the firemen, they were doing every possible effort to maintain the heating temperature inside the carriages. When we were going on, I've told you carriages is a bogie. Okay, there are different, like some trains has 30 carriages, some train has 40 carriages. It depends. Eventually, the train met massive snow drifts. Snowdrifts means deep pile of snow. What is the meaning of snowdrifts? Deep pile of snow formed by the wind. Okay. So what happened? At last the train it met with heavy snowdrifts blocking the track. Gradually the laboring train came to a halt. Halt means stop. Now what happened? What the danger was facing the train just was struck by that danger. What was that danger? That because of the snow, because of the heavy snow blocked the railway tracks, the train came to a stop. The train was blocked because of the snow and it could not continue its journey. The reversing gear was useless because impacted snow had entered the brake valves. So what happened? The train could neither go backward nor move forward. Okay, both ways were blocked because the reversing gear was blocked because of the snow. The snow had entered into the gear and it had blocked it. So the train could not go back, neither it could move forward. Okay, so it was blocked in the middle. The train could move neither forwards nor backwards. It was stuck. So what happened in paragraph 3? At the last stop before the Turkish border, the authorities they informed the chef the train means the people who looked after the railway tracks. Okay, so they informed the chef the train that the track was not cleared in Turkey. But chef the train could not do anything because he had instructions that you have to continue your journey. So he said, no, we are not going to stop. We will continue our journey. Now the train was crawling. All its sides were hidden by a heavy snow haze. Finally, what happened? The train met with a heavy snow drifts, which blocked the whole of the railway track. And finally, the train came to a stop. It could neither go backward nor forward. It was stuck. Paragraph 4. A distraught. Distraught means upset. One who is upset. Worried. A distraught chef the train spoke to the passengers who had been woken by the stillness. Mrs. I told you Mrs. is a French word which means sir. Mrs. Okay. So the chef the train he started speaking to the passengers. The passengers they were sleeping and now they woke up. I'm sorry, we cannot send a message. All the telegraph wires have been brought down. We are marooned. Marooned means alone and helpless. But do not despair. Do not feel sad. Do not feel worried. We have heat and 2 days food. This emergency will soon be over. But please be economical with the water. Obviously, they have that water little bit water, not that much water. So he spoke to the passengers that I'm very sorry because the train had stopped, and but you should not worry. He was telling the passengers that you should not worry because we have heat also means they were having coal also and 2 days food. Okay, and this emergency will soon be finished. But please be economical with the water means that please do not waste water because we do not have that much amount of water. The passengers were served luncheon. Luncheon means a formal lunch. Okay, you were having very delicious things in the luncheon. So they were served luncheon and afterwards they returned to their sleeping berths to keep warm under their blankets. That night dinner was not quite so lavish and it was eaten with only a few lights switched on. So they were trying to save the heating, they were trying to save everything. And in the night when they were served dinner, it was not that much lavish. The chef the train brought in a portable gramophone to keep up morale, but unfortunately he had only two records. Okay, so what happened in paragraph 4? The train came to a halt, and the chef the train he was extremely worried, but obviously he had to build up the morale of the passengers. So he spoke to them that they shouldn't worry because they had heat and food for 2 days. So in the lunch, they were served a luncheon. Luncheon is a formal lunch, and then they went to the sleeping berths to go to sleep, and so that they could stay warm under their blankets. And afterwards, the dinner was not that much lavish, and then the chef at train, he also bought a gramophone to listen music, but he has only two records. Okay, now paragraph number 5, page 120. The next morning, after a breakfast of stale means which is not fresh, no longer fresh, rolls and little butter. It was uncannily quiet. All that could be heard was the sound of the shovel and pickaxe as the fireman and the train driver made superhuman efforts hour after hour. So next morning they were served the rolls and with butter, but the rolls were not that much fresh, obviously, and there was complete silence in the train. Only they could hear the sound of the shovel and digging. Shovel is like which is used for digging. Okay, so they were used for by the firemen and the train driver because they had to maintain the heating temperature inside the train. In their open cab is like the engine, okay, where the driver sits. In their open cab with blazing heat before them and paralyzing cold to the side and rear. Blazing heat because in the front of them they were maintaining the temperature, they were adding coal so that they could maintain the heating temperature. And but obviously it was extremely and deadly cold. A heavy snow was still falling. They worked to maintain some heating in the carriages. Everyone on board the train expected help to arrive, but by the third day, the fuel was down to debris. Debris means about to finish, waste. Okay, it was almost the third day, and the help hadn't come yet. Okay, they were just waiting for help to arrive, but by the third day, was the fuel was down to debris. Train, we pronounce it as debris. Okay, not debris, we pronounce it as debris. Means it was about to finish. Train heating had to be abandoned. Abandoned means finished, and the remaining fuel kept for cooking. So obviously they had no choice. Now they could not maintain the heating temperature inside the carriages. So because they were heating the fuel for cooking so that they could make the food. Otherwise, what would become of the passengers? How could you survive without eating food? Okay. Now paragraph number 6. They now realize that their very survival would depend on their own. Now the passengers, they understood the fact that they could only survive if they would try. So the chef de train asked for volunteers. Volunteers are the people who are willing to work without any money or without any other. Okay? From the amongst the passengers to form a party to go for help. So chef the train, he went to the passengers and he asked for volunteers who were willing to go to seek help, to find help. There was a village about 3 miles to the south, and his plan was to tunnel through the snow to find help. So, what was the plan? He wanted to make a tunnel through the snow so that they could go and they could find help because there was a village. Obviously, if there was a village, so there would be villagers also. The men were divided into parties of two or three, each working for 15 minutes, by which time they were exhausted from the cold and effort and returned to rest and thaw. So what happened? He divided into groups, and there were only three people in one group. Okay, 2 to 3 people, so that they could work for 15 minutes. And after working for 15 minutes, the first group would retire, and the second group would come. So that if they were exhausted, they could take rest. Those not actually working on cutting the frozen snow constructed a makeshift sledge. Sledge is used for moving on the ice. Okay, it helps you out in moving on the ice. Like some sledges are drawn by the sledge carriages, you can say they are drawn by the wolf or the dogs. So they made the sledge from the compartment doors, the doors of the carriages. Several times the tunnels collapsed and the workers dug frantically to release those inside. It happened many times that the tunnels which they were making, it collapsed. They collapsed. And then they started digging out so that those men who were stuck inside, they could come outside. After 48 hours, 48 hours, can you believe? 2 days. After 48 hours of unremitting effort, unremitting means continuing without stopping, the tunnels broke through the surface. At last, the tunnels they managed to get through the surface. Paragraph 7. To their bitter disappointment, however, an increasing blizzard means snowstorm, blotted out visibility beyond a couple of yards, and there was no evidence of any field wall or animal track. When finally they managed to tunnel out, but they were disappointed because of the snowstorm, they could not see. Okay, they could not see properly because the visibility was dropped and there was no evidence there was any field or any animal driving nearby. After nearly 10 pockets of piled up snow dragging the sledge behind them, the men had seen no habitation. They kept walking for 2 hours in the piled up snow, but they saw no habitation. Habitation proves that there were some people living nearby. Until in a brief cessation of the snowfall. Cessation means stopping. Cessation means stopping. So, in a brief cessation of the snowfall stopped for a few minutes. For some time, they saw a wisp of smoke and a tiny clearing in which a handful of men were standing. But each of them was pointing a gun menacingly at the stranger. So, what happened? Finally, when the snowfall stopped for some time, they saw a group of men, but they were having guns with them and they were pointing the guns towards them. Okay, but I'm speaking loudly. Paragraph number 8. One of the kitchen hands spoke Turkish and shouted that they were seeking help because Turkish language is obviously different from English language. So one of the kitchen hands means one of the chef who was working in the kitchen in the train. He knew Turkish language, so he shouted that they were looking for help. Although the men lowered their guns, they made no gesture of friendliness and held out their hands for money. So the men, the men they saw in the clearing, they lowered their guns, but they didn't show any sign. Gesture means any movement or any sign of friendliness, that they are friends. Okay, and they just held out their hands. They were demanding money from them. Unwisely, the forging means searching, looking for something. The forging party. Who was the forging party? The passengers of the train. They had not thought of the likely greed of poverty stricken peasants. Poverty stricken means who were very poor. Peasants are like the people who work on the lands of some other person. Discussions began with exasperating slowness. Okay? Eventually, the search party was led into a mud hovel is a hut where an old woman crouched over a black cooking pot and a few scrawny chickens were pecking at the mud floor. So what happened? In the start, the men they did not show any sign of any gesture of friendliness, and they just held out their hands. They were demanding money, but the passengers they hadn't thought of that thing, and they hadn't any money with them. So they began discussions with the poor people, poor Turkish people, poor Turkish peasants. Finally, they took them to a small mud hut. There was an old woman. She was looking. She was looking over a black cooking pot, and there were chickens who were pecking at the mud floor. Pecking mud means that if there are grains on the floor, they were just trying to eat those grains. Okay. After nearly 2 hours, the party left with two chickens, a few eggs, and some slabs of stale bread. Okay, so what happened finally? They were given two chickens, some eggs, and some slabs of stale bread. Bread was also not that much fresh. They had to dig their way back to the train through newly fallen snow, and the food was divided between everyone. The passengers' share was served on gold embossed china by the two kitchen hands who now had severely frostbitten toes. Obviously, when you are in the snow for a long time, you have frostbite. So they were frostbitten toes. Very difficult for them to manage. Now, with the two paragraphs are left only, and then you will start reading. Beta, I'm speaking loudly. I don't know why my voice is not clear. Anyways, I'll try to speak a little bit louder. Okay, paragraph number 9. The next day was as cold as ever but clear. The passengers collected from amongst themselves an impressive sum of silver in half a dozen currencies and a few gold coins. So the next day it was not snowing, the day was clear, although it was cold. So passengers they collected some money from amongst themselves, is silver, half a dozen currencies, and few gold coins. The rescue party returned to the villagers who were friendlier when they saw the silver and gold, and they went again to those people, to the peasants, and the peasants became happy when they saw silver and gold. The party came away with logs, two sheep, two goats, cheese, eggs, and bread. So this time they were given logs. Logs are the piece of wood. Okay, two sheep, two goats, cheese, eggs, and bread. These were all the things which were given to them. And even some thin pieces of wood to tie to their feet to use as snowshoes. And they were also given some pieces of wood which they tied to their feet so that they could use them as snowshoes. The peasants accompanied the party some of the way, which was disconcerting until they realized that the villagers shooting into the air was to protect the party from hungry wolves. There were also wolves on the way, so the villagers just came with the party of the passengers, okay, to protect them from hungry wolves. With these fresh stores, the kitchen fire was kept burning and food was available for a further 48 hours. So the kitchen fire it kept burning and they had food for remaining 2 days. Last paragraph, paragraph number 10. It was in the middle of the afternoon of the sixth day that the lookout yelled like a man possessed. So it what happened? It was the sixth day in the middle of the afternoon. The people started shouting. What happened? Half a mile ahead of the train was a motorized sledge. They saw a sledge which was driven by a motor. Close behind were five more, manned by Turkish soldiers and railroad workers carrying supplies of kerosene. Finally, what happened? The rescue party reached to rescue the passengers. There was a motorized sledge, and there were five more sledges which were controlled by the Turkish soldiers. And there were workers also. They were having food and kerosene with them. They had been working their way from Constantinople for 4 days and nights because they had no other way to reach the train because of the snow. All the tracks were blocked, so they had no other way. So they just started. They were just walking for 4 days and nights. The passengers now reveled. Revel means enjoy, relaxed. Now reveled in the warmth from the rekindled. Rekindled means again brighten up. Rekindled kitchen fires and greedily ate the bread, olives, and cheese distributed by the soldiers. So passengers, they were relaxed now. They were eating, and they were eating bread, olives, and cheese. Everything. They had been rescued. Finally, they had been rescued. Though darkness brought a paralyzing cold, all the men worked to clear the snow from the train's wheels and thaw the frozen. I told you in the last lecture, thaw means to melt. So all the workers, they worked hard to clear the snow from the wheels of the train. Obviously, when the snow would be cleared from the wheels, then the train would be able to move. And they just melted the frozen brake cylinders with fires made from kerosene soaked grass. The final stage of the journey to Constantinople, a distance of some 80 miles, was made at a snail's pace. Like a snail's pace means very slowly, deadly slow. Thus ended one of the most unusual stories in railroad. Now, students, who will read paragraph 3? Ji Bilal, read.
Paragraph 3.
Paragraph 3.
At the last stop before the Turkish border, the chef the train
Chef
was
the train.
chef the train was warned that the track in Turkey had not been cleared, but again obeying instructions from Paris. He ordered that the journey should continue. The sides of the train were now concealed under a white blanket of snow, reaching to the carriage's roofs, and the crew struggled to maintain heating inside the carriages.
Wait
Eventually,
a second. Wait a second. Yes.
Eventually, the train met massive snowdrifts blocking the track. Gradually, the laboring train came to a halt. The reversing gear was useless because impacted snow had entered the brake valves. The train could not move. Could the train could move neither forward nor backwards.
Now.
Addi-
Okay, okay. Thank you, Bilal. Yes, Umema.
Paragraph 4. A distraught shafter train spoke to the passengers who had been woken by the stillness. Wages, he said, I am sorry. We can't send a message. All the telegraph wires have been brought down. We are marooned. But do not despair. We have heat and 2 days' food. This emergency will soon be over. But please be economical with the water. The passengers were served luncheon and Afterward, they returned to their sleeping berths to keep warm under their blankets. That night, dinner was not quite so lavish, and it was eaten with only a few lights switched on. The chef de train brought in the portable gramophone to keep up morale, but unfortunately, he had only two records.
Okay, next. Alina.
Paragraph 5. The next morning, after a breakfast of stale rolls and little butter, it was uncannily quiet. All that could be heard was the sound of the
Shovel.
shovel and pickaxe as the fireman and the train driver made superhuman efforts hard after hour
After
after
hour.
hour
Hour.
after hour
After hour. Okay, hour
after
after hour.
hour after hour. In their open cab with blazing heat before them and paralyzing cold to the side and rear, they they worked to maintain some heating in the carriages. Everyone on board the train expected help to arrive, but by the third day the fuel was down to debris. Train heating had to be abandoned and the remaining fuel kept for cooking.
Okay, good. Yes. Next. Iman.
They now realized that their very survival would depend on their own efforts. So the chef de train asked for volunteers from amongst the passengers to form a party to go for help. There was a village about 3 miles to the south, and his plan was to tunnel through the snow to find help. The men were divided into parties of two or three, each working for 15 minutes, by which time they were exhausted from the cold and effort, and returned to rest and thaw out. Those those not actually working on cutting the frozen snow constructed a makeshift sledge from compartment doors. Several times the tunnels collapsed and the workers dug frantically to release those inside. After 48 hours of unremitting effort, the tunnelers broke through the surface.
Correct. Okay. Now one more student and then I will start asking question answers. Who wants to read? Yes, Amna Shehbaz. Yes, Amna.
Paragraph 7. To their bitter disappointment, however, increasing desire blotted out visibility beyond a couple of yards, and there was no evidence of any field wall or animal track. After nearly 2 hours of floundering waist deep in pockets of piled up snow, dragging the sledge behind them, the men had seen no habitation until in a brief cessation of the snowball. Cessation
Of the
of the
snowball.
snowball. They saw a wisp of smoke and a tiny clearing in which a handful of men were standing, but each of them was pointing a gun
Menacingly.
menacingly at the strangers.
In a cunning manner. Okay, in a cunning manner. Okay. Now, students, we have only 5 minutes. We have to discuss the question answers. Question number one, reading for understanding. First, mark the questions which you have to do. Reading for understanding. Okay. Question number one. Question number two. Question number three. Question number six. Number seven. 9, 10. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10. 5 is cross, 11 and 12 are cross. Okay, Now, students, first question. Why was it surprising that the Orient Express train continued with its journey across Europe on that particular day? It's paragraph 1. Who will tell me the answer? Why was it surprising that the train continued with its journey across Europe on that particular day? Yes, Iman.
It was surprising because it was during the most severe winter for more than a century.
And what happened? That is correct. It was surprising because it was the most severe winter for more than a century, and a heavy snow was falling, and the railway track, line surveyors knew that heavy snow was still falling, and but they were given clearance to continue the journey. Okay, they shouldn't continue their journey. No, they needed to stop, but they gave clearance that you can continue your journey. Okay, good, Iman. Question number 2. What is the function of a snow plow? I've told you the picture of a snow plow also. So what is the function of the snow plow? Can you see in this picture what it is doing? Who will tell me the answer? Fatma Irfan. Yes. Yes, Fatma.
It was it was used to remove the snow from the train track.
Okay, correct. Its function is, and you will not use Fatma was because in the question there is. So a snow
Okay.
plow is used to remove the snow from the tracks, from the railway tracks or railway lines. Good, beta. Okay. Paragraph number 2, you have to find the answer. Describe some of the difficulties caused by the severe weather which the train's crew. All of you know the meaning of crew? Do you know the meaning of crew? Crew are the people who are working in a train. Okay, who work in a train, like the staff of a train. So, tell about the difficulties caused by the severe weather which the train's crew had to overcome. Find the answer in paragraph 2. What were the difficulties? G. Hunan, in paragraph 2, find the answer. What were the difficulties faced by the crew members? Area?
Teacher, the train driver reduced speed to a crawl to minimize the risk of derailment. At the Roman border, a dozen railway workers
Romanian
struggled.
border. Romanian border.
At the Romanian border, a dozen railway workers struggled to load massive lumps of frozen coal into the tender, and with great difficulty managed to thaw the water cistern
Eastern.
load enough to replenish the locomotive's tank. In the cab, the fireman had to break the frozen coal with a crowbar before it could be levered, high,
Liver. Missing.
levered, hissing into the
Okay.
fire.
Answer is correct, but you will start from here. That the workers struggle to load massive lumps, line number 5. The workers struggle to load massive lumps of frozen coal into the tender with great difficulty till into the fire. Okay. Now, next question. Question number 4. Why could the train move neither backwards nor forwards? Paragraph number 3. Why could it not move neither forwards nor backwards? G. Who will tell this answer? Fatma Irfan. No, Umema. Yes, Umema, you tell me this answer. Umema, I've unmuted you. Yes.
The reversing gear was useless because the affected snow had entered the brake valve. The train could move neither forward nor backwards.
Okay, because in the front of the train could neither move forward because of the heavy snow drifts had blocked the track, and the train could move neither backward because the reversing gear because the impact